And welcome to Grandad's Reviews. In this episode, I thought I'd answer a few questions that I keep seeing pop up on Facebook, on some of the Fuji Facebook groups, and that's regarding the audio on the Fuji X cameras, and in specific questions being what levels do I need to set to record audio? Do I need a powered microphone to record audio? And I thought I'd just address some of those issues, and we'll have a look on my Fuji X-T3, which I've got here. Now the first one, what audio levels do I need to set? You can't really answer specifically due to the fact you're unaware of what that person's going to be recording. Are they outside and it's noisy? Are they inside and it's quiet? So then that will depend on the audio levels. But what we'll do, we'll get over to the X-T3 and just check out the menus and the settings and just have a look at a few different scenarios. Now here we have the X-T3, and I think the first thing that we need to do is actually get the audio meter displayed on your screen so you can see what's happening. So what we'll do, what you need to go into settings, then screen setup, and then come all the way down to display custom settings, and then on page 4 you've got mic levels, so just make sure that's checked, and then on your screen you'll have the mic levels. Now the internal mics are quite useful, especially if you want to use it for getting ambient sound like we've got here, and you want to add that to a narrative or some spoken video that you're doing, and you can use it as background sound. And in that situation I would actually go into your audio levels. I've got it on one button, but if you can go into menus, into the movie settings, come down to audio settings, and then internal mic adjustment. Now you've got choices, you've got auto, manual and off, and I would say if you were just doing ambient sounds that you're going to add to, say, a video with other sounds being added into it and just having it as ambient and background sound, I'd just put it on auto, which is going to be more than good enough just for general use, and in that situation it'd be fine. I wouldn't use the internal mics if you're going to do a talking head interview. So if I was in front of the camera and talking to the camera, you were going to be a reasonable distance from the camera, the internal mics are going to be absolutely useless. But where they are useful is if you're in a small studio or you're doing something in the house and you're using the camera to video something and you want to add some commentary to it. If you're close to the camera, then they're going to pick up the sound really well, and for that situation you could use them for that. But in that situation I wouldn't have it on auto, so we'd go back into and go to manual, and then we can set the levels. Now what we want really, and unfortunately the scale on the Fuji levels isn't very well split up, we've only got minus 50, minus 20 and 0. You want to be somewhere around about minus 12 to minus 8. So where these yellow bars are going up, their highest point wants to be somewhere around about minus 12, minus 8. And in this situation here where I've got 0 dB on the setting, we're probably around about that, at this distance here. Obviously if I come back, and that's going to go down. So if I'm further back, we need to raise that so we can get those levels back up again, like so. Or if we're really close and we're going higher than that, really high where it's very loud, then we moved it down so we can get those levels around about there. So really you want the white coming up to -20 and the yellows in between the 20 and the 0, and that's going to be your ideal setting. And just leave it, press OK and come out of that, and then on your screen you should have the same kind of setting on there. Now obviously if you're going to do some talking head interviews, or you want to use it for YouTube like this, then you might want to add an external microphone. Now the other question was, do you need a powered mic? Well, no you don't. The Fuji supplies power through the 3.5 or 2.5 on the X-T3. It supplies power to a microphone. And I have here a very cheap lavalier. This cost me £1.26 off eBay, which is about $2 if you're in the US. Not powered, as you can see, there's nothing, it's just a capsule and a connector. So if we plug this into X-T3 like so, and then go into the settings again, and on the external mic you've got auto, off and manual again, so we'll go into manual. So this is this cheap mic. If I put it where my other mic is, I've got a minus 4.5 decibels, and this is about right. We're coming, the white's nearly up to the -20 and the yellows are just in between, and that's an unpowered mic. As you can see, move further away, that level goes, so it is working correctly, and if we're really close. So again, we would adjust this setting to get the yellow and our basic high spot where I'm normally talking to get in between the -20 and the 0. That should give us a good setting. So that's just a basic unpowered lavalier, so you don't need a powered mic for this. And again, when you back out, you see those signals moving on the screen. Now, if you're not going to be using a lavalier, a lot of people use the Rode Video Micro or the cheaper versions you can get with the windscreen. Again, this isn't powered. We can plug this into the 3.5 like so, go into the settings again, and as you see, this one, that little cheap lavalier was quite sensitive, whereas this one isn't, and our settings are now right down on the 20 there, so we're going to have to bring this up. And this is about, so coming up, and we're about there, so we're having +3, +4.5. Yeah, we're going about +4.5, and we're getting somewhere close to that. Now the question asked is, how am I going to set my levels? Because this is usually mounted. Oh, separate little tip. The cutouts in the wheel here is for the cable, because when you put this on there, it wobbles all over the place. Stop it wobbling too much. Flick the cable in there, holds it tight. So yeah, so how are we going to set the levels? Because it's obviously pointing at somebody, and if that somebody is you, and you can't see the back of the monitor, and you haven't got a separate monitor at all, it's going to be difficult to do. So yeah, so how are we going to set the levels if you want to speak into the microphone at the front because you can't see the screen at the back? And the easiest way to do it is turn the microphone round, and then stay at the distance that you want. So I'm at probably the distance I'm going to be, let's say back here, and I'm looking at the screen and I'm going to see that the audio levels need to go up. So I'm at the maximum now, and that's not too bad. I should be able to work with that. So that's one way of doing it. Now, the thing is, what difference does a powered mic actually make? So this is unpowered, so the actual camera's powering the mic. So if we take that one out, then this one is a powered mic. So if we plug that in, make sure it's switched on. So now this is a powered mic. So if we go into the levels, the external mic, and I'll hold it at this kind of distance, we can bring those levels further down. So now I'm getting down to -4, and the idea is the lower you can get the internal amplifier in the camera down, the better it's going to be, because the actual internal amps inside most cameras aren't that very good. The more you can get out of the microphone and turn that down, so this one here I can probably get down to -7, which is quite a way down. That should help. And again, if you want to check your levels, you can just turn the microphone down and walk away from it, and then adjust your levels like so. So to answer those two questions, what audio levels do you need to set? Whether you're setting the internal levels or the external levels, you want to keep those audio levels, the yellow or the orange, bouncing around between the -20 and 0. So it's going to be around about -12, -8. So you want to keep it there, whether you're checking for the internal or the external. And the second question, do you need a powered mic? No. The Video Micro isn't powered, that cheap Lavalier isn't powered, but to get a better sound quality than is a powered mic will help, because you don't need to increase the gain in the preamps in the camera as much to get the levels correct. So it does help, but no you don't. The camera will power the actual microphone. As for setting the levels, if you can't see the monitor, then just turn the microphone round, walk to the distance you need. Now some other settings are actually in the sound menu, so if we go back into here, back down to audio settings, we've got other settings in here, and we've got obviously the internal adjustments that we've gone through and the external. We've also got mic level limiter as well, which we can turn on and off. And what that does is if the levels start to clip, it tries to prevent them. But it is a digital limiter, so it's probably best to do it in post rather than in camera. But if you're using just the internal, then it's worth switching it on. You've got a wind filter, which personally through experience I'd leave off, because it does cause some funny distortion at times, so I wouldn't leave that on. But low cut filter, that will take some of the rumble out, the lower, below -40 decibels, so I would leave that one on. And then you've got headphones volume as well, which is if you want to listen back to the audio or monitor your audio while you're actually recording. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. If you want to be notified, hit that bell button. Till next time, see you later.